So why don't we just start off really just from the very beginning. How did this project come about?
We just followed him, and he led us into his life. And you know, I wonder, looking at this after spending a couple of years on the film, and I know there are a lot of filmmakers here, and you wonder, when you make a film, then an audience is going to see it, and they're going to spend 90 minutes of their life, you know, watching something that you've worked on, and is it worth it? Is, you know, it, not for me, I mean, it was worth it, I got paid, but is it worth it for you guys, you know, to spend 90 minutes looking at something that you may think is self-indulgent, you may,
I don't know about that. What did everybody think? I
he took probably by now 3.5 million pictures. And certainly, as Mr. Abrams says, he's the price tag of the First Amendment. But do the means justify the ends? If somebody 50 years from now wants to do a paper on Tony Danza, he's probably got, you know, 400 or 500 pictures of Tony Danza as a child, and later on when he became a star. He took almost 5,000 pictures of Jacqueline Onassis, and it's there. It's, you know.
With that kind of an archive, how much did he show you? How much were you trying to look at in order to put together the film? Like, there must have just been an insane amount of footage you could have used.
Well, every time we went back to his house, it was just, it was like a treasure. We'd find more and more and more photos. Where did these photos of Michael Jackson come from? He's putting a new book together. Like, why didn't we? It was amazing. I mean, he shot everybody and was everywhere. I mean, all the pictures of Jackie, but he has, I mean, everybody.
There's a scene that didn't make it into the film called the Italian scene.
Oh yeah, Gotti.
Where he was honored in his father's hometown in Italy, and people from the town came to pick photographs, and they were going to do an exhibit of Italians. And they had, every person they asked him about, he had.
Everyone.
It was incredible. I mean, yeah, and it became, as our editor called it, was an archivist's nightmare, because they were like flying through all the photographs in his archives, and he was drinking wine, and they were just having a great time. He had everybody.
Italian directors, Italian actors,
Sure.
Italian everybody, models.
I mean, so did you approach him, or did he approach you? How did you decide that he was going to be the subject of this film? Like, turning sort of, you know, from being the person taking the photos to being the star of the film.
I actually had read an article in the New York Times about a retrospective of his work at, I think it was at the Salvador Ferragamo School somewhere, and they talked about all the celebrities that came to that. And I thought it was really interesting. The same guy that all the celebrities were running away from are now going and celebrating him. And I thought it was an interesting way of looking at the world of paparazzi then versus now. And of course, he exceeded our expectations as far as a character or something because we could not have imagined it. And so I went to him and I approached him, and he was like, "Oh, sure, okay."
Excellent. Well, I might have some more for you, but I want to open it up to any questions from the audience. So right up here, and I'll just repeat it if it's good.
I'm curious about how your following him around with your camera affected his access as a paparazzi.
He was aware of the camera, but he was almost acted as if he wasn't aware of the camera. Most people, when there's a camera, there's a camera consciousness, and they react in a certain way, and Ron seemed to react the same way to everything all the time, and he never tried to have a quick look at the cameras. A lot of people do when they know they're being photographed. It was, he was an ideal subject.
But did it affect his ability to access the things he was trying to get pictures of in any way? Like the fact that you were following him?
No, because at this stage of his life, he wasn't, as Bobby Kennedy said,
Right,
he
right.
wasn't hiding in the bushes anymore, really. So it didn't really affect it that much. Trying to
He's
think.
invited to.
Yeah.
red
Even
carpets.
like the Robert Redford.
Well, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
And, that was like he was snuck in and
Snuck
kind
in.
of just it worked. I mean, honestly, it's
Get
just,
it! Go in there! Go in there! Just get the shot!
but he's so well
Don't turn the
known
camera
amongst the paparazzi now, and primarily his shooting is he's going to events at this point.
Right.
It was fun though when we're shooting Ron and there's like all these celebrities and we didn't really care about the celebrities, you know, and the camera's on the photographer. And,
Another question? Oh, sorry, right here.
I know that Princess Diana was not one of his big subjects, but did you get into the subject of the circumstances surrounding her death with paparazzi?
We did at one point in one cut,
okay.
and we put together the funeral, her brother doing that beautiful eulogy, and we decided that
It's a bigger, it was too big. You can't tell it in 5 minutes or 2 minutes because the driver was drunk. Is it the paparazzi? There's paparazzi. She loved the paparazzi. She waited for certain cameramen to, there was a story about if his camera wasn't working, she waited for his camera to work to take the picture. There was a whole, it was
we
big.
got the pictures from the hotel. We had shots of her in the elevator, looking up at the mirror, smiling. And when I first saw them, I thought, oh my God, look at these pictures of her. In a few minutes, she's going to be dead. And it had a profound effect on me. I wanted that scene in the film. I don't know how we wound up getting those pictures. We didn't.
Amazing.
But they were surveillance pictures of her in the elevator, her walking through the hotel lobby, getting into the car, taking off, then the announcement that she had died in an accident. We had pictures of the car in that tunnel, and
We debated it because, and ultimately I think the decision was not, really because as he says in the film, he only photographed her he had very few shots of her. In fact, he had very few shots of her and none of Marilyn Monroe. That's the one that actually got away for him. But, and then the feeling was that it just didn't,
Took you out of the film.
yeah, it wasn't about him, and,
It's almost like this little news piece in the middle of
but
the
it was a
film.
debate.
So, he talks a little bit about sort of some celebrities that were hard to get and it's hard to find. Were there any stories that you really wanted to include that you didn't? Any particular sort of choice bits that he told about somebody being able to get away from him in some way?
yeah, he spoke about Marilyn Monroe, and he was out in LA and he knew that she was doing a picture at Fox, and he waited and he waited, and he became impatient. He got in his car and he drove away, and he found out the next day that she showed up about 5 minutes after he left.
Wow.
So he learned a lesson there.
And there was also another story where he was in Mexico photographing Richard Burton. He was hiding in a hotel in a pool room where they keep the generator for the heater of the pool, and they were making a movie there, and he was hiding, and I guess the sound person working on the film said, there's this humming noise. And it was the generator from the pool, and they went back there to turn that off, and sure enough, Ron is hiding in there. So he was arrested and thrown in prison there, and Burton, he beat him up also.
These guys beat him up, Richard Burton.
Wow. But then, years later, Richard Burton hired him to take photographs at his wedding.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So,
So I want to thank you so much for being here and for bringing this great film to us. Thank you all for